Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So, Tarek and we're taking one more trip through the video game trap house known as Super Sega FPGA today, because the makers have telegraphed exactly what off-ramp they're going to be taking to not deliver anything while keeping everyone's money. This is the land of make-believe. It's almost parody, but it is 100% true. And as much fun as we're going to be having with this video, at the end of the day, this is the crap that I don't want to see in FPGA gaming or retro gaming in general. I'm tired of all of these scams, all of these made-up bits of hardware that are nothing more than basic imagination on paper that never intend to actually deliver anything. The only thing they intend is to suck up as much money as they can before the whole thing goes bust. Before I get too far involved, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell. And if you feel like supporting the channel, we have a Patreon link down below as well, because honestly, I want my own Lamborghini, guys. It's not fair that just the team from Super Sega has one. But the Lamborghini became a meme, but it's going to be very important for the most recent video that Super Sega FPGA put out. They are showing you the off-ramp that is going to allow them to keep the money while also delivering nothing. They are stating now that Sega has gotten in contact with them, they want the project stopped, and they want all 300 of the manufactured consoles, and I have no idea what they would manufacture. That board doesn't do anything, destroyed and never delivered to customers. Now, I have absolutely no idea whether or not this is true or false, so we're going to treat that statement as both a truth as well as a lie at the same time, because both of them end up with the logical conclusion being the same. If Sega does step in, they're going to be able to cancel the project and say it's Sega's fault, we were going to deliver, but we have to destroy them and we've lost our entire investment. If it is a lie, they just run it to the same logical conclusion and get the same result. Your money goes into their pockets, they go do whatever the hell they want with it, and they disappear for 4 to 5 years to run the next version of this, because in the next video preview you're going to be seeing Alejandro here wearing his Cinemartin shirt, a company that took a ton of money and delivered absolutely nothing. This is a track record with these people, and it is disappointing. Of course, we have a lot of fun with these videos. The camera work basically feels like I'm watching something Blair Witch mixed with some sort of hostage video out of some crisis zone at the same time, but they're basically stating that they want Sega to pay them to change the branding, that they produce 200 to 300 units. I have no idea what in the hell they would be producing. This clearly doesn't seem true whatsoever, because in other videos they say it's going to be manufactured in Asia and still needs improvement, so they haven't really produced anything, nor is that ever the intent. And it might be very well likely that they chose the name Super Sega hoping to either bait Sega into approaching them or to have a logical answer as to why they couldn't deliver on anything. And the Super Sega FPGA dude right here, at least he seems to be wearing pants in this video, is going to state that he is in abject poverty, which begs the question, how did you spend the money in the first place to make this project? Every single story he tells double backs in on itself and raises more questions than it does answers. If you are in that bad of a financial situation, you do not show up with a Lamborghini, you do not show up with a motorcycle, you don't show up with a massive game console collection and show it off on camera. It doesn't add up, just like nothing in this video has added up. And I'm not here to make fun of somebody if they're a little bit short on their cash. Happens to millions upon millions of people across the world every day, but all of those people are honest people just trying to get ahead, where Super Sega FPGA is trying to pull a fast one, because you can't say in one video you are broke when in a previous video you rolled up into a multiple $100,000 vehicle in a parking lot. You can see the cognitive dissonance in this statement versus the footage we are being shown. Is this his friend's vehicle? Did he rent it? Does he own it? We have no idea. Same thing with the motorcycle. They're not giving those things away. And when he pans away from the motorcycle, again, this weird fascination with the vehicles, you see this massive collection of hardware here. Now it begs the question, did he own this beforehand? Did he use pre-order money to purchase this to show it off on camera? We have no idea. And if we take them at their word that they have done 300 pre-orders at 420 euros a piece, just think of the money there. Nothing in this has been very expensive to produce. They've got one PCB that's nothing more than a doorstop with some LEDs on it, and clearly they spent absolutely nothing on making these videos. It is just cell phone footage. So the payday here could be technically worth it to do something like this, but of course, just like with the camera world, I don't think they anticipated just how much retro gaming fans and FPGA fans know, both about board development and how things work. Basically, by the second preview, this thing was notorious for just being a joke, and we thought maybe it was just an optimistic person trying to do something that they had no ability to do. But when we found out that Cinemartin was involved, immediately then it was known to be a complete farce, and it's gone through that entire process, coming to now what seems to be the logical conclusion for them to keep the money. And if Sega is so concerned about the name, and this was a real product, they would change the name, change the packaging, and just release it as is. But of course it's not a real product, it isn't a real thing. This is just the way that they don't actually have to deliver anything, and it's obvious that that was always the plan, even as disappointing as it was, because these people are not bright when it comes to actually trying to do this sort of thing. There's so many issues in the footage, there's so many issues in the stories they tell, it basically unravels almost immediately, and everyone knows. But I do appreciate, at least this time, it seems to be that we have a bathrobe on, got a little bit more dress for this preview, and that is the hilarious thing about the quote-unquote video game trap house. And if you want, I might even make some t-shirts and donate the money to some sort of gaming charity so we can have something good come out of this mess. But tell me down below in the comments, do you want a video game trap house t-shirt? Because if so, I'll try to get it done maybe later on in December, in January. And you'll see here the absolute latency in the control input. At best, this device is just a USB pass-through, and it is running something else. At worst, it is just something like an HDMI receiver wirelessly, and this is running off some sort of emulation front end in the background. But even after they say Sega's coming after them, they're still putting up preview videos, still talking about crowdfunding, and still accepting pre-orders. And at this point in time, if anyone has ordered it, I'm really sorry, you're definitely not getting anything whatsoever. He even goes through talking about the supplemental 5-volt input and shows some holes on the PCB, some through-hole devices that have cold joints because the solder isn't filled in. And I don't even know what he's trying to articulate here to convince people it's a prototype and it's still in development. It doesn't make any sense, but I did hear from a reliable source that if you buy this, you do get an Allen wrench included. It might even be gold-plated for your collection. But again, this is what everyone expected. It is not surprising at all. We haven't seen the PCB for a long time, and even when we did, anyone who knew anything about electronic engineering, even as a hobby, could realize it was completely non-functional. The USB was just a pass-through to the back, the HDMI port had solder bridges and was non-functional. There weren't enough components, especially in the resistor and capacitor department, to run anything whatsoever on this. So it's either a Raspberry Pi under that heatsink, or it's just a pass-through device, but it's never been an FPGA, Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, Sega Genesis, or anything like that. And that is the thing with MiSTer FPGA open source cores. You could build a console, a PCB that could run something like the Master System, the Sega Genesis, the 32X, everything like that, including up to the Saturn, even though it's not finished. And you could just do that. They are open source and they are available. And you'll see here he's pointing out to these different through holes that have cold solder joints. Have no idea what component that is going to, and honestly it doesn't matter. We're not analyzing this footage to see whether or not this thing could function. We're doing these videos to talk about how this scam is basically going to go away, and pretty quickly. My guess would be by the end of this week, or at least by the holiday, SuperSega FPGA is going to come out and say that Sega is requiring them to destroy all the consoles they've made to ship to buyers, and because they've already paid to produce them, there is no money left to refund anybody, and they're going to blame Sega for it. They want a scapegoat, they want a straw man to be able to keep the cash and move on to the next thing they're going to do. And that's just downright sad. We've had a ton of fun watching him smoke, watching him run around in his underwear, do the absolute most ridiculous thing, sing on camera, but really this is just bullshit of the highest order. It is so embarrassingly sad. This is the type of stuff that never should be able to happen, especially in 2024, but as long as there's a few people out there gullible enough to send people money, this stuff will continue, and it absolutely pisses me off that this is the state of gaming in 2024. It shouldn't be happening. People are getting ripped off, and even if you leave that comment down below that people are foolish and shouldn't have bought it, I 100% agree with you, but at the end of the day, they are going to get away with this. The SuperSega FPGA team is going to keep this money. It's not going to be big enough for any government or police agency to go after them. Maybe at the minimum they can buy a new TV that doesn't have what looks like ropes of paint shot across it, and yes, that was an implication right there for sure. But but this has been so much fun to cover, even though it is absolutely insane I've had to talk about it in the first place. I basically predicted the entire trajectory of this, as of some of you in the comments talking about Sega getting involved, and again, I probably assume that Sega isn't involved because this is such a joke. Even if they've looked at it in their offices, they would probably realize it's not going to hurt the brand. No one's ever going to think it was them. They could probably just watch it explode in its own time frame, because the only thing this team of people is capable of delivering would be an Allen wrench, and even that would be difficult. But maybe they could print Video Game Trap House on the side so we could at least have something fun come out of what is a dumpster fire combined with a train wreck. But the reality is, train wrecks and dumpster fires really do exist. Super Sega does not, so we'll have to wait and see how this shakes out, but I can almost guarantee you're not getting anything from this team sent to you in a box. We'll see you guys next time though. Bye bye.